We've done enough on that.
Yeah, let's talk to or listen to Craig Berube, his thoughts on the return of his captain, clip 1.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, captain of the team, and we missed him. He's been out a while, and it's great to have him back. Looking forward to it, and he looks really good out there. A lot of energy, skating well, moving well, so it's good.
All right.
Skating well,
there for me.
Skating well, moving well. Looks great. So
Good.
it does, I will say, watching them without Austin Matthews, like Mitch Marner's still brilliant, and Tavares and William Nylander, but it's a different level. It's one of the better players in the league. You kind of forget how good he is, and you sort of look forward to having him back. Just be like, oh yeah, it's a reminder, because I'm a Dumbo. I've thought to myself over this run, I'm like, oh, maybe they are a little better without him. Like, everyone's got a better role. Everyone plays better without him. It's like he comes back, you're like, oh, right.
I just hope I don't see like a lot more forced kind of, he's there, let's just get him the puck as much as possible.
If they played exactly like they've played plus him, that's great.
Oh,
yes.
Exactly.
Without saying now we got to play a different game because of him.
Yeah. And I want to see a similar look to Mitch Marner on a power play with him coming in.
Absolutely.
Because how many times have we seen Mitch in the past barely touch a puck?
Yeah. Well, the best part is, and that's not something that like is even Austin related to me, is like Mitch has to be, he's so good all around the zone. Like I bet if you looked at like a tracer of where people on power play, it's him and McDavid is the guys who are the most active and can play all over in the zone on the power play. And I think they're most effective when he's doing that. When suddenly he's at the point, suddenly he's on this flank, suddenly he's goal line. They've looked too stagnant prior to Matthews going out.
Did you see that they're going to the 5-forward power play?
I did see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have someone there?
I think to your point there, Kipper.
Yeah.
That if you want to keep Mitch playing the way he's been playing on the power play, where he has the puck a lot.
Yes.
That's a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
Of making him the top of the sort of. I just hate.
For me, Morgan Riley has been the most guilty in the last year and a half, 2 years of deferring to 34.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think that's a great point. 100% agree.
Not Mitch or anyone else.
And was it not the first
Morgan.
game that Matthews is out that Riley floated one in and someone tipped it in?
Yeah.
Like the very first game, it was like, hey, sometimes a better option, just get it through to the net.
I think it was nice that tipped it in.
Like, you don't want to get the puck to Matthews when the D is shifted to him. He's flat-footed. He doesn't create, as you've talked about before. He's a guy who, at the end of some plays,
lands on his stick and he fires it in.
Right. I actually liked when Matthews used to play the opposite flank, and he'd come up almost out of the zone to the blue and then be coming downhill and do that forehand catch and release sometimes. So, yeah, a little bit of movement wouldn't hurt him.
Okay, do we have the coach on Bobby McMahon?
We do. We have him.
Or where do you want to go,
Let's
Sammy?
finish the 5-forward power play from Berube since we're talking about it. Clip 3, Berube.
Before we had it with the 5 forwards, I thought it looked really good. Just the puck movement and quickness of it all. I really like Nyes at the net, and I really like JT in the bumper. So I think just how to make that all work, and we're going to see how it goes. But before we try it, when we did try it, I thought it looked really good, and really that's decision making that I made.
I mean, I like it. You?
Yeah. I think there's going to be a tendency for Tavares to get right back in front of the blue paint. I think it's going to be hard for him
up
to.
In the bumper there?
Well, it's not that I want him up there. I think at times his bread and butter has been right, driving right to the front of the paint. It'll be interesting to see, 2-man end up there.
I don't hate 2-man, but probably what has to happen is he has to get his feelings hurt again this season. And it's probably Nyes' spot, and Riley ends up at the top. That's probably like the coach himself.
They'll crash, though. He'll come in and crash and find some loose change, I think.
I like him as the high tip and all that, but
you still feel that way though with Tavares, the way he's kind of turned it around here, because like I definitely had that feeling earlier in the year, being like the ideal scenario would be have Nyes on there, maybe Oliver Ekman-Larsson at the top, but they've really gone away from him on the power play. Like I'm not convinced that they're better on the power play without Tavares out there anymore, because he's been so good this year, especially on the power play.
I think it'll be interesting too, because like you want to keep your lines together. So if you've got Nyes, Matthews, Nylander, you have the chance to then kind of keep that together. I don't know, not take too many pieces from the other line instead of 2 and 2.
Okay, let's follow.
Saying,
Let's. You guys good on that?
Yeah,
I want to follow it up with Berube playing Willie Nylander the full
It's
20
a great clip.
or the full 2 minutes on power plays recently.
How have you found the whole William staying out for the full power plays he's been going? Do you plan to stick with that now that you kind of have Austin and now he's back?
Well, he likes it.
Told us that. Yeah.
Got his ice time up. So that's key, right? Got to get the minutes up. Well, I think Willie, again, we're missing a lot of players, and I think Willie staying out there, he's not used on the penalty kill, and the ice time works out well, and he's the type of guy that can handle it. He plays in his spot there, and he's dangerous. He makes the second unit better. That's the bottom line. He makes the second unit better.
I love that. There's clearly a pretty good relationship between these two guys, because that's like he's just making fun of him openly for asking for more minutes.
It's actually really funny if you look at Nylander's ice time over the season. The month of October, I think they played like 11, 12, 11, whatever games.
Yeah.
17:58 was his average ice time.
Wow,
The month
really?
The month of November, exact same amount of games, 20:34 is
Wow.
the average. So you can laugh. Like if you're the coach, like, he has to get his ice time up. Willie's like, I did get my ice time up. I got exactly what I wanted.
Sir, it worked. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not really that much different from any other like Connor or McKinnon, and they're just going to take whatever they can get, right?
Yeah.
They all want to play the 2 minutes. It's not like you're doing down and backs. It's not like you're doing wallies on the thing.
Well, and like not everyone skates as well as Willie and moves as little as Willie. You know what I mean? Like he's the ultimate energy conservation guy on the power play. So
Yeah, he can go from absolute 0 to 100 pretty fast.
Yeah.
So,
but he's not going to 100 unless he has to.
if the pucks.
And Brewe's right. He's
Breakaway.
Yes.
He is dangerous out there. The key is it needs to be more for the Leafs than it is sometimes
Bingo.
the opposition.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right.
Go ahead.
You want to go D or Sammy? Where do you want to go?
Well, you mentioned before we went on it. Do you want to talk about this Tavares stuff that's been
No, I
flowing
just
out there?
read, I think it was Chris Johnson in The Athletic maybe, mentioning that they're talking again, or they talked in the fall, and there's a sense that Tavares' contract extension could be possibly moving.
I just don't see, and that very well may be true, and it's probably true. This is not commentary on that.
No.
It's commentary on the fact that, like, what's the point? Is there?
I'm with you. I'm like, where's the race to get him done?
Like, absolutely no disrespect to him, but like his family loves it here. His kids are in hockey programs. They got a house.
He's
They're.
not Mitch Marner.
What do you mean?
What I mean is, Mitch is 27, not 34.
Right.
Mitch isn't in a position right now where he's telling the whole world, I don't want to move, and it's a top priority for me to stay here. It's like, so why you want to race to go sign John Tavares?
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt that if you came to him when the season ends and said, here's your 3 times 5 or whatever, whatever it is that he's looking for, if you wanted him and if it works, and I've said this on the show lots, if it doesn't work, I don't think it works
like
at all, whatever the number.
The philosophy that fans have had right up until maybe the last week and a half, 2 weeks on Marner is like, wait until the playoffs. And it's like, you're right, but you don't have the right guy. You need to have that exact attitude on Tavares, not on Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on Tavares. I don't know if it doesn't work for Mitch.
The Leafs center dilemma: who can strengthen the roster? If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan like me, you know the team's center depth has been a constant concern this season. With Austin Matthews set to return from a mysterious upper body injury next week, the excitement of having our star back is palpable. However, there are still serious issues to address in the center position to keep the team competitive and, of course, fuel our playoff dreams. David Kampf, a key piece in the center rotation, is sidelined with a lower body injury. As if that weren't enough, Kaye Jarnkrok is still recovering from surgery, leaving another gap in the lineup. Max Domi, expected to be a versatile asset, has been placed on injured reserve, further aggravating the situation after missing consecutive practices due to lingering pains. To sum it up, the Leafs are missing 4 functional centers, and the pressure to act is mounting. James Myrtle, a respected Leafs analyst and contributor to The Athletic, highlighted a series of potential trade targets to address this dilemma during his appearance on the J.D. Bunke's podcast. Among the names mentioned, 2 stood out: Nick Jugstad and, for the nostalgic fans, a possible reunion with Ryan O'Reilly. Jugstad seems to be Myrtle's favorite, and for good reason. The player, who signed a 2-year deal with the Utah Hockey Club last offseason, carries a manageable $2.1 million cap hit, which is essential for a team as salary cap-strapped as the Leafs. Additionally, standing at 6 feet 6 inches and weighing 205 pounds, he would bring not only physicality but also consistent offensive contributions. Jugstad is the most viable option for the Leafs right now, Myrtle stated on the podcast. And he's right. Experienced and versatile, Jugstad has played for several teams, including the Florida Panthers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Minnesota Wild, and Edmonton Oilers, and could quickly adapt to the Leafs' dynamic. With an affordable contract and a solid track record, he offers a practical solution without sacrificing too many future assets. However, it's impossible to ignore the possibility of a Ryan O'Reilly return. Yes, we know he chose the Nashville Predators last summer in search of a quieter environment, but the Leafs management still holds him in high regard. The 2019 Stanley Cup winning captain with the St. Louis Blues is precisely the type of player any contender would love to have on their roster. However, the cost of bringing him back would be steep, both in terms of trade assets and cap space adjustments, as Nashville or a third team would need to retain part of his salary. I don't think the O'Reilly scenario is entirely out of reach, Myrtle said, showing that there's optimism within the organization. However, there are doubts about how much it's worth investing in a 33-year-old player, even with his impeccable credentials. Meanwhile, cheaper internal options like Steven Lawrence, Connor Dewar, Pontus Holmberg, and Fraser Minton have been mentioned. But let's be honest, these names might serve as short-term stopgaps, but they're far from offering the stability and impact the team needs. The pressure is all on GM Brad Treliving. He knows that despite the Leafs' solid performance so far, the center position is crucial to sustaining any championship aspirations. With the trade deadline approaching, Treliving has likely intensified his efforts to finalize a deal. And we, the fans, are eagerly awaiting good news. For now, all we can do is trust that the team can weather this tough phase and hope a solution, whether it's Jugstad, O'Reilly, or another name, arrives before things spiral out of control. After all, as we all know, the Leafs don't have the luxury of wasting another season with a promising but incomplete roster. The time to act is now. The Leafs center dilemma, expanding on the potential solutions. The Toronto Maple Leafs, amidst another promising yet tumultuous season, face one of their most pressing challenges, addressing a depleted center lineup that threatens to derail their momentum. While the return of Austin Matthews is a beacon